Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. Be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. Sean Payton was playing in a celebrity golf tournament this past weekend, took time to chat with NFL Total Access, and he talked about what Mickey Loomis talked about last week, what everybody associated with the Saints keeps getting asked about, which is Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, even though we all really know the answer to the question. Here was Sean Payton just basically complimenting both guys.
Obviously, there's a high bar for our team. And so I wouldn't even say just offensively or defensively, but I think both of those guys will rise to the challenge. They both understand the importance of the reps that we're going to have in this upcoming training camp, and you know there is a little bit of a standard, and it's kind of high, and so that's okay.
Insert generic comment about quarterbacks and standards and replacing Drew Brees, and we'll just keep getting the same thing over and over and over again until we actually see football, which will be fun when that happens in about a month from right now. Sean Payton did also talk about this sort of this unique offseason where you're replacing a quarterback for the first time in 15 years.
We feel like we've got a real good football team. Both of those guys have done a great job this offseason in what was a kind of a little unique offseason, I would say. But yeah, I think there's that challenge of winning each year, and especially with our current roster, it's important you get good, solid play at that position. We know that. Fortunately, we've been able to do that in the prior 2 years when Drew's been hurt. But you know, replacing someone like Drew and the career he's had, it really falls on all of us. You know, it falls on the coaches, it falls on the other players, and you know, we look forward to really having a good training camp, hopefully with minimal distractions, and I think our team from a vaccination standpoint is doing pretty well. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting back to what we know is a more traditional environment for training.
Did you know that it's important to get good, solid play at quarterback? Sean Payton made that. It's important in the NFL to get good, solid play at quarterback. All of that sort of is the setup to mention this, which is part of an interesting conversation. So Bill Barnwell writes for ESPN.com, and he does this every year, and it's the 237 players that could win the MVP. So essentially, it's not to say that it's likely, but based on the NFL history, right? If you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, or if you're a star player at a certain number of positions, you plausibly could win the MVP. It's not to say that there's 237 players in the NFL that actually have a chance to win it, but plausibly, if you are a starting quarterback, if you are an elite level bell cow running back or receiver, you could plausibly win the MVP. Now, I don't believe that's actually the case with receivers anymore. If Michael Thomas, it wasn't Michael Clayton. If Michael Thomas he had a really good rookie year though, Tampa. If Michael Thomas had, a season where he broke Marvin Harrison's record for receptions in a season and played 5 games without Drew Brees throwing him the football, and he didn't win the MVP, it's just not like it's going to be a quarterback or a running back that runs for over 2,000 yards. That's narrow it down to that. But Barnwell breaks it down, and he does it all in 9 different tiers, and I'm not going to bore you with all of it, but it's like the top tier is the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and he lists Brady and Mahomes and Rodgers and Big Ben and Russell Wilson. And then it's like starting quarterbacks who are still on rookie deals. So guys like Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Tua, you get it. Then the third tier is established, effective starting quarterbacks. That's the Derek Carr, the Jimmy G, Cam, Dak, Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford, and others. And then it's group 4, and this is where he clumps Jameis into this group. It's, as he puts it, the low-end starting or high-end backup quarterbacks that if they have a big-time year, could have that season. And he mentions Ken Anderson's 1981 and John Brody's season in 1970. And he lists in this group Teddy Bridgewater, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taysom Hill, Tyrod Taylor, and Jameis Winston. And of the candidates, he mentions that his favorite is Jameis Winston. And I'll read you quickly what he writes. He said, I'm tempted to pick Fitzpatrick given the Harvard product is joining a Washington team with a great defense and has actually been a very good quarterback for most of the past 2 seasons. But Winston is the easy pick here. Playing for Sean Payton with Michael Thomas at wide receiver, behind an excellent Saints offensive line, Winston has the chance to blow away expectations and his previously established label as a gaffe-prone quarterback. He certainly could lose the quarterback competition in camp to Hill and spend the entire year on the bench, but we're looking for the highest upside, not the highest floor. And I think that's a very key point that he's pointing out there. It's when I'm not saying Jameis is going to win the MVP or you should bet on him. By the way, his odds in Vegas are plus 5,000. I mean, it's like it's a super long shot. That's one of those ones where if you're in Vegas and you want to go throw, a couple $100 at it, or or $10 just to see what may happen. Okay, and then maybe you pay off big, but it's not likely. It's mostly just giving yourself something to cheer for throughout the year. But the point at the end is the best point. It's not about the highest floor. It's about the highest ceiling. And with Jameis, you're talking about a guy that has thrown for 5,000 yards in a season, that has thrown for more than 30 touchdowns in a season, that has been a starting quarterback for 4 years or 5 years in the NFL. You're talking about a guy that it's not a reach to think throwing to a healthy Mike Thomas and having Alvin Kamara in that offense as well, with a brilliant offensive mind like Sean Payton calling plays behind that offensive line to think, and with a really good roster to think the Saints could be a playoff team and Winston could have a great bounce back year. And if they have a really good year, he could be in that conversation. I don't think many people were penciling in Matt Ryan as an MVP candidate when he won it in 2016, or Cam when he won it in 2015. Or Lamar Jackson, quite honestly, is a second-year player when he won it. Or Mahomes is a second-year player when he won it in 2018. So sometimes you do see guys come off the radar to win it, but we know you got to be, by and large, a starting quarterback in the NFL. And you have to stat compile, and you have to win. Those are really the two components. Can you stat compile and can you win? So take, for instance, this. Aaron Rodgers won the MVP last year. He threw, I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of numbers, so don't memorize this or anything, but just to illustrate the point. Aaron Rodgers threw for 4,299 yards, so just under 4,300 yards and 40 touchdowns last year, and they were 13-3. Won the MVP. Stat compile, 13-3, won the MVP. Lamar Jackson threw for only 3,100 yards when he won the MVP, but he also ran for 1,200 yards, so that's a bit of an outlier. But as a starting quarterback that year, he was 13-2. They clinched. He didn't play week 17. He was 13-2. Mahomes, in 2018, threw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. Stat compiled, they were 12-4, obvious choice. Tom Brady, in 2017, 45-77, so just under 4,600 passing yards, 32 touchdowns. Patriots were 12-4. Stat compiling quarterback on a really good team. Matt Ryan, when he won it in 2016, 4,944 yards. So 49-44, just under 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns. They were 11-5. Again, can you stat compile on a double-digit win team that's in playoff contention in that given year? So I ask you this. Is it plausible to think that this Saints team could win 11 games? Could they go at 17 seasons? Could they go 11-6? Yeah. Could they go 12-5? I mean, I'm not like Vegas has them, I believe, at 9.5 is their over/under. Could they exceed that expectation? Perhaps. It's plausible. And could Jameis Winston have a season where he throws for over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns? Absolutely. He's already done it. He threw for 5,109 yards and 33 touchdowns in 2019. He had all the interceptions. I'm not excusing that. But the point is, we've already seen him do it. So can he? Yeah. I mean, he's already done it once before. So my point with Bill Barnwell saying, look, that's a dark horse worth keeping an eye on, he's kind of right. Because if this Saints team, the defense, there's a lot they got to replace on defense, I get it. But if this is a team that, again, is in contention to win the division, if they're at that 11-12 win mark, which may not happen for this team. You lose Drew Brees. I get it. There's a lot of turnover on this roster. We don't know how that's going to go. But if you're just thinking through plausibility, and as Bill Barnwell put it, they're looking for the highest upside, not the highest floor. Makes a lot of sense. A guy who's already had a 5,000-yard season. He's thrown for 30 touchdowns before. We know he can stat compile because he's done it. Now he's in a better offense on a better team. If he stat compiles on a better team and wins more games, is he in that conversation? He should be. Maybe a fun bet at plus 5,000. I mean, I'm not going to make it, but maybe for you, if you need something to bet on, maybe you can do that. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.